This is the monthly market update for August 2024. I want to remind you that this is just single-family homes because that's predominantly where I work. Not that I don't do condos, I do, but predominantly we're talking about single-family homes. And this data for August is actually the July data, just so you know. That's the way we always do. We're kind of a month behind every time. Okay, so let's talk about what we got. Currently available, 5,289 single-family homes. Under contract right now in escrow, 2,284. Sold in the last 30 days, just slightly more than 2,000. And that leaves us with a monthly inventory of 2.55, which means the way we figure this, guys, is very simple. We just divide this number by that number. That tells us how many have sold in the last 3 days. That's how many are currently available. That's how many months. If we stay at that pace, that's how many months this is going to disappear. That's what that means. And currently, our average days on market is 30 days. Last month, we only had 4,500, so it's jumped quite a bit, about almost 800 homes. We had 2,600 in escrow. We had about the same number of closings. We had a 2.25 months worth of inventory, and we had 29 days. Last year, only 3,900 homes available, 2,400. Those numbers are all very comparable. Of course, the month's worth of inventory was under 2 at that point because you only had 3,900 homes available. So that's where we're sitting right now. So that being said, let's take a look at our charts. And here's our first one. This is that stack chart I do every month. And what this shows us is right now, we're currently on pace with similar pace to last year in terms of our volume. Maybe slightly ahead, it looks like to me, if I look at that last stack. But last year was one of the slowest years on record. You can see going all the way back to 2002, it's about equal to 2002.
About the fourth.
Yeah. Yes. So
fourth or fifth.
Yeah, the slowest year in the last 20 years, or 25 years. And so this year we're on pace with that, maybe slightly ahead. I actually anticipate the last part of the year, with the presidential election is the thing that makes it tricky for me. And I talk about this all the time, and people think I'm kind of crazy, but the presidential election affects volume in real estate. Not that it should, it just does. I'm just saying, because the results of the election rarely impact real estate all that dramatically. Although this year it's on the ballot, there's no question.
Right.
The cost of housing is on the ballot, so we understand that.
Cost of everything.
And true. Okay, so here's our median price. We're currently sitting, according to this chart, at 480. I have it a little higher than that, actually, basically, because of having pulled the number at the end of the month, but they have it at 480. But you can see, look how flat that is. It's crept up from a low of like 425 back in February 23. But when you go back to July of 22, it was 465. We're up to 480. So if you go from July of 22 to July of 24, 2 years, we've gone up $15,000 in value. It's dipped and messed around, but it really hasn't changed that much in 2 years.
Right. Very slow appreciation, right?
Yeah, and stable pricing, I would say. Even though it's more than it was, but that's what real estate does. I'm sorry. Luxury sales. This was interesting to me. I don't always pull this stack chart, but I thought it was interesting that they're on course on luxury to break the record.
Right.
These are homes over $1 million. Now, Rick and I have talked about this before. I'm not sure $1 million is really the right threshold anymore.
This is a skewed
because
number.
Just because the median price has crept up so much over the years, the median, back here in 2014, it was like, look at this teeny tiny. We've covered that in 3 months already.
Right.
So, but look how far ahead they are. They're really ahead of the record year, which was back in 21, and they're ahead of that pace. So that just tells me, and that tells me something else. The median price, if we look at the median price and we say, oh, look at all this volume at the high end, it tells me that the lower end's not performing as well as we'd like it to. That just skews the numbers.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. If you understand
we're a little top heavy.
How the median's calculated, you understand
you cut out the high and the low, but there's still a lot of meat in this.
And especially, too, when you look at the gap between the average and the median, it's a very big gap there. That means there's a lot of homes on the higher end that are driving that price up.
And I just noticed this, but the last month we had 171 closings, a million or more. That's the best month ever. Not even, 160, 182. 182, and there's a 218.
This year, and a 172.
And 218 there, yeah.
So this year has had 3 of the months that are in the 3 of the top,
the best months ever.
Best months.
Yeah. So I would say, that's to me, that's quite interesting to see. But that definitely skews the numbers, guys, and that's an important fact to keep in mind. Now let's take a look. This is interesting to me, too. I pulled this pie graph to show how people are buying houses, how they're paying for the house. Almost half are conventional loans, just about half. 25% cash, which is a little lower than it had been. We're seeing that fall off a little bit.
It used to be about 35%.
30 to 30. I saw 35 not too long ago. FHA's picked up a little bit, too. That's 17%.
And that should continue to actually increase. I think with the new limits might give a little bit of.
I don't disagree. I think, and FHA rates have generally been more aggressive than the
Right.
conventional loan rates. Even though you have to pay mortgage insurance there, they're still the overall payments have been very, very aggressive, and they're doing a nice job. VA at 7%. I'm kind of gratified to see that. That's a nice number. I love doing VA loans, and then the other is a variety of who knows what. Other types of things going on. Now here's my line graph that I do every month for you guys, and again here August 2024. You're looking at basically the number of sold homes, the available homes, and the median. The number of sold homes, I mean, that's just right in that 2,000 number. It's just creeping around that 2,000 number all the time. It dipped way low back in January of this year. It was down to 1,300. The yellow line is what's currently available. You see, that's creeping up. That's getting up there. That's been steadily climbing for the last 3 months. But the median price, the blue line, is pretty flat. It's creeping up. It's been slightly up, but only slightly. And so what I see here is to me what amounts to at this particular moment in time are still a fairly balanced market because there's not inventory has grown. So we could see it start to favor buyers a little bit as we look and project ahead. If the inventory continues to go up and and there's more sellers than buyers, then you're going to see the supply and demand dictate that the prices are going to probably maybe dip a little bit even if they don't just flatten.
I think so. I think we're right here on your graph, when you see the yellow line cross the blue.
Yep.
That right there is going to tell me that this next month is going to be really important.
Yep.
We see another month of that. You're going to see, especially going into the seasonality of the year.
Yeah.
You will see prices, one of two things: homes come off the market because they just don't want to sell right now,
Right.
or people who are going to sell want to sell. You're going to see very aggressive pricing.
Yeah, I think if you're someone out there who's been thinking about buying, and you've heard me say this before, the best time to buy is yesterday.
Right.
But if you're sitting on the sideline and waiting, I'm going to tell you, keep your eyes out because the prices may have leveled off. They might still creep up. We don't know. I mean, we're throwing darts here. We don't really know for sure.
I think this is a great time to buy. I think you can get, and we haven't talked about the new rules yet, but I think you can get seller concessions and commissions paid for in transactions right now, especially with certain properties that have been sitting on the market for a long time.